What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of For the Love of Wrestling. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. Happy Thursday here as we get ready to get into all of the action from AEW Dynamite last night. Let me just start off by saying that overall, this was a hell of a show. Every match was just top tier in my opinion. And while some of the outcomes were slightly predictable, I really don't think that there was a bad match on the card. But as we always do, we're going to break things down bit by bit, segment by segment. Hopefully, a good number of you joined us last night across the multiverse of media as we did our watch along coverage for the show. But yeah, let's start to get into this because there was a lot that happened. Show kicked off with Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland, match 3 in their series, and this time the winner of the match would get to face Samoa Joe at AEW Revolution March 3rd, which of course we will be covering and doing a watch along for across the multiverse of media. This match was an all-out war, just as you would have expected between these two individuals. Some phenomenal action between two long-standing rivals at this point. Crowd was really hot for Swerve here. The match went the distance to a 30-minute time limit draw. Swerve was using the Deadeye and the Buckshot Lariat, which were, of course, Hangman Adam Page's moves. He hit the Swerve Stomp a couple times. You know, it just seemed like no matter what Swerve did, he couldn't keep Page down. At the end of the match, Swerve wanted 5 more minutes because he didn't want it to end the way that it did. And Hangman, being the punk bitch that he is, told him, no, you needed to beat me. You didn't beat me. And he rolls out the ring and begins to head up to the ramp. Tony Schiavone gets on the microphone and announces that Tony Khan has told him through his headset that because there was no decisive, clear-cut victor in this match, the match at Revolution will be Samoa Joe versus Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland in a triple threat match. Triple threat seemed like it was going to be kind of obvious, but at the same time, I thought that would be the end game, not the first shot. I completely expected Hangman to get the win here, even though I can't stand Hangman. And just the way that he continues to act like a punk bitch just makes me like him even less. In my opinion, we've seen a double turn at this point in the game, and Swerve is almost 100% babyface. The rest of the Mogul Embassy are complete and utter heels, but Swerve is full-blown babyface at this point. And Hangman Adam Page is just going further and further down that heel path. But when you figure his elite brethren have gone full-blown heel, it definitely makes sense. And we'll get to those assholes more later on in the evening. After the match, we had a Samoa Joe backstage promo. And if I'm being honest, I didn't hear exactly what Joe was saying. During the East Coast feed, I had my headset on. I was calling the action. We were BSing during the in-between. Didn't catch what he was saying there. During the West Coast feed, I had a couple of chores I had to handle. Since I had already pretty much seen it, I tried to hear it. But I believe the gist of what Joe was saying is that, you know, he doesn't like how the odds are stacked against him. He doesn't deserve that. But he's going to do what he always does. And he's going to crush his opponents. Now, the fact that it's a triple threat, I feel like Hangman Adam Page will get pinned in this triple threat. That way we keep Swerve Strickland strong, keep the title on Joe here. I don't expect Joe to lose it this quick. If anything, I want to see Swerve get it at a big event, at a Double or Nothing or something. What do you guys think about that? Let me know. But I do think Swerve, by the end of the year, will be AEW champion. And if they don't pull the trigger, then Tony Khan's a complete and utter idiot. We then get Timeless Tony Storm versus Red Velvet with Deonna Purrazzo on commentary. Women's match wasn't in its typical 625 spot this week. Good for you, Tony. You can do something different. Again, this was a tremendous match. It was an eliminator match. So if Red Velvet won, she would get a future title shot against Timeless Tony Storm. Title was not on the line here. Red Velvet really showed out in this match. However, Timeless Tony was able to work the challenger over and defeat the opposition with an ankle lock submission. The virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo is, of course, a technical wrestler, a submissions expert with her Venus de Milo finisher submission. So Timeless Tony trying to send a message to Purrazzo that she's got some submissions of her own that she can use to be victorious. Post-match, Tony Storm didn't want to let the ankle lock go. So Deonna Purrazzo came off of the commentary, gets in the ring, goes nose to nose with the champ. The two have to be separated by Luther, the bodyguard butler for Timeless Tony. My biggest issue with this match, if I'm being honest, isn't that Timeless Tony won. Because we figured that much. She's not going to look weak going into her match against Deonna Purrazzo at Revolution. But I'm starting to get tired of seeing eliminator matches where the person that's trying to get a title shot down the road doesn't get a victory over the person. You know, if we're going to get these matches and we're trying to prove that we've got a stacked division where anybody can be a contender, let Red Velvet get the win here. Even if it's via collusion, via Deonna Purrazzo distracting Timeless Tony or something, now you've set up the next contender after Deonna Purrazzo. It just makes sense to me. But you can't keep having these eliminator matches where if the champion beats them, they don't get a title shot, you know. It just seems silly to me. If you're going to give all these people opportunities to get title shots if they can beat the champion, then every now and again, someone's got to beat the champion. Am I out of line on this one? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. Next match was BCC, the contingent of Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli versus the CMLL contingent of Hechicero, Máscara Dorado, and Valero Jr. Little side note, I just discovered that Máscara Dorado used to be Grand Metalik in WWE. I did not know that originally. Did a little bit of digging to try and find out some more identities of these luchadors and discovered that. Again, this was a fantastic, fast-paced match. Great lucha action, definitely building up this rivalry between AEW and CMLL. Blackpool Combat Club was able to get the victory here as CMLL did bring the fight, but once again, they jobbed out. And this is another thing that's kind of bothering me a little bit. We had the CMLL contingent last week on Dynamite look strong. Then on Rampage, they had a match against Christopher Daniels, Matt Sydal, Daddy Magic, and Cool Hand Ange, and they dominated and won that. And every match since then, they've been jobbed out. Hechicero lost to Bryan Danielson on Collision, and now this. I don't understand why TK keeps choosing to work with these other companies if all he's going to do is job their talent out. I understand you want to keep your talent looking strong, but like, come on, we've got to give them some victories. I definitely feel that we may be getting CMLL as part of Forbidden Door this year, and it'll either be AEW versus CMLL or AEW versus New Japan versus CMLL, because CMLL and New Japan have a working relationship as well. If we get the whole pot mixed up here and we can get matches featuring stars of all three promotions, that is going to be amazing. And I'm looking forward to a Tony Khan special announcement down the road here where that is the announcement. Backstage, we have Chuck Taylor getting attacked by the Undisputed Kingdom. Previously, and I forgot to take notes on this one, previously we had a backstage segment with Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, and Trent Beretta, where they were kind of hyping up their six-man match against the Undisputed Kingdom for Rampage. Undisputed Kingdom will be represented by Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett. Wardlow is sitting out that one because Chuck Taylor was already injured. Chuck Taylor was apparently at the arena to get checked out by doctors, and they took the opportunity to further injure him and attack him here. We then had Tony Khan's special announcement. And some people, I know Datilla, Rangers of Wrestling, shout out to Datilla, affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse Media. She thought the announcement was going to be a partnership full-blown with CMLL, or that Forbidden Door was going to feature them, kind of like we were just discussing. Unfortunately, Tony Khan's surprise announcement was already spoiled earlier in the day when the TD Garden in Boston announced that AEW Dynamite would be there on March 13th. So it took a little bit of the steam out of TK's announcement, but he went ahead and made it anyway. AEW is going to present Big Business, an AEW TV special broadcast from the TD Gardens in Boston, Massachusetts on Wednesday, March 13th. And we have decided that at the Multiverse of Media, we are going to make that a watch along. Coverage will begin at 4:45 Pacific, 7:45 Eastern. And let me just bring to your attention, if you didn't notice it on the TV, look at the way Boston is spelled. BOSSTON, with the S's as double dollar signs. I don't know about you, but I only know one boss from Boston that could potentially be the reason why that is written the way it is. Very, very high probability. Don't want to say it's guaranteed because nothing is guaranteed until we get a press release from Tony Khan or AEW. I don't care what the internet wrestling journalists say, but a very, very high probability this is going to be the debut of Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks. All the more reason that we will be calling the action here across the Multiverse of Media. Mark your calendars, Wednesday, March 13th. We then go to Chris Jericho versus Konosuke Takeshita. And this is just the next chapter in the Jericho Don Callis family saga. Again, brutal match here. You had the Walls of Jericho come out. You had a great code breaker spot. You had Powerhouse Hobbs at ringside and Sammy Guevara coming out, cracking Hobbs with the steel chair. Hobbs no-selling it. Then you had a Cody cutter off of the stairs from Guevara to Hobbs, and then an unprotected chair shot to the dome from Guevara to Hobbs. But regardless of all that stuff to help Jericho, Konosuke Takeshita gets the victory when he locks the Walls of Jericho in on Jericho in the middle of the ring. Jericho had previously been assaulted by Don Callis and his screwdriver, which led to that. At first, we thought that Jericho would pass out to the walls and the hand would come down 3 times. He'd be knocked out. He did resist the third hand. He did fight back, but Takeshita drug him to the middle of the ring, wrenched back a little bit more. Jericho had no choice but to tap. Damn good match. Main event, of course, was for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Steen and Darby Allin challenging Ricky Starks and Big Bill. And this match was holy crap. For a man who's 64 years old, Steen really came to play. The man was moving. I won't say he was moving like he was in his 20s or 30s, but he definitely was moving around the ring pretty damn good for a man his age. You know, we've said a few times on commentary, this is arguably Steen's best run since he was the Joker Steen in TNA. Dude dove off of a balcony onto Ricky Starks and Big Bill below. 2 men just catching him, taking that abuse for him. There was a moment in the ring where Ricky Starks was about to spear Steen, and you saw him in the corner and he was kind of hesitating. It very much felt like that moment in Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24, where Shawn did the whole "I'm sorry, I love you" before pulling the trigger on the super kick. You could kind of see in his eyes that Ricky Starks did not want to deliver the spear to Steen. Did so anyway. Didn't matter. Steen kicked out. Steen won the match with the Scorpion Death Drop. 1, 2, 3 was able to get the pinfall. Steen and Darby Allin are your new AEW champions. Ricky Starks immediately rolls out of the ring so that Steen and Darby can have their time to shine. Specifically, Steen. This is Steen's only championship victory in AEW. Kind of surprised it took this long to get there. Sucks that he's only going to have a less than a month reign with the titles before he loses them. But better late than never. Better to have one than none. Steen's sons came in the ring to celebrate. And then here come the Young Fucks. Nick and Matt Jackson had to run into the ring, destroy the moment, attack Steen and Darby. And before I go off on a diatribe here, let me just say this. I understand the need to attack them, to further the match setup for Revolution, and to kind of get the ball rolling, because while we've kind of known this match was going to happen, we haven't really had a whole lot of build towards it. So I can understand that part. But I feel like the Young Bucks went a little bit too far. Matt Jackson's suit was just drenched in Darby's blood from the way that he brutalized him. And Nick Jackson's coat did the same thing once he got a hold of Darby. Darby was bleeding profusely. Steen got busted open a little bit, but not near as bad as Darby. Like I said, you take a look at their suits and they were covered in blood. Just ridiculous. This was absolutely unnecessary. They could have saved this for Rampage and given Steen and Darby their moment in the sun. Then when Steen and Darby are celebrating on Rampage or on Collision, make the attack then. I felt this was incredibly unnecessary, and I feel like Nick and Matt went way too far. Fuck you, I'm not calling you Nicholas and Matthew, you stupid pieces of shit. It's just not going to happen. This one moment really took the show down a few notches for me, because I was so high on the show. I was about to give this a 10 out of 10. And then this happened. And as a result, I'm going to give this show a 7 out of 10. That is how much I think that this attack took away from the show. Maybe it's just me. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. What did you think of Dynamite this week? Put your comments in the comment box. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to show you all the watch-alongs coming up across the multiverse of media, not including Big Business, which needs to be added to that now that it's official, but all the other ones that have been announced. And as soon as we come back from that, we'll hit you with the shows and we'll get out of here. Be right back.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
And we are back. Lots of stuff coming up across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media. Like I said earlier, in addition to all of those watch-alongs, we have added AEW Big Business to the calendar. Wednesday, March 13th, 4:45 Pacific, 7:45 Eastern. But before we get to all of that, later on today, graphics getting away from me here. Hold on a second. Later on today, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, WWE will be holding a press conference, WrestleMania kickoff. Rock and Roman Reigns will be there. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins will be there. Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley will be there. Triple H will be there. Michael Cole and Pat McAfee will be hosting the event. Walter Cruz from Rage of Wrestling, affiliate of the channel, is going to be doing a watch along of that. So make sure you tune in to Rage of Wrestling on YouTube and watch that. Immediately following that, Aaron Rift from NoDQ.com is going to be giving highlights and his thoughts on what occurred and transpired through the press conference. And then at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, the man, the myth, the legend, the West Coast professor, Jeff motherfucking Meacham, will take to the airwaves for Meach's Musings, where he will be discussing the WrestleMania kickoff press conference, the firing of Coach Scott D'Amore from TNA Wrestling, the TNA president, relieved of his duties yesterday, and he will be giving his thoughts on AEW Dynamite, which occurred, of course, last night. Tomorrow, of course, make sure you tune in, same bad time, same bad channel, for my coverage of TNA Impact, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And immediately following that, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, Jeff Meacham and I will be joined by my little old man, my father, Jerry Williams. You sometimes see him in the chats as Pop, as we discuss the top 10 Beatles songs as we celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Beatles' inaugural performance on the Ed Sullivan Show. 60 years ago tomorrow, the musical landscape was changed forever, and it has not been the same since. In addition to all that, I highly recommend that you go back into my archives and check out Inside the Mind of the Renegade, which aired this past Tuesday, where I went in depth about the situation surrounding Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, The Rock, and Ava Raine. Lots of stuff to get into there. Again, we won't even know anything until the press conference later on today. So people need to seriously chill the hell out. And that's going to just about do it. Again, see you guys tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel for my coverage of TNA Impact. And until then, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you then.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you.